Okay, it's 1 o'clock somewhere, so we'll start the meeting. We'll bring it to order. So if you could rise as you're able, we'll sing the national anthem.
Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, who was on tap to do the land acknowledgement today?
It's Councillor John's turn actually to read it if she wants to from the screen. If not, then you can go for
Joan,
it.
are you able to do the land acknowledgement or?
Yes, I'll read it from the screen.
Very good, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, as we gather, we recognize and acknowledge the traditional keepers of this land with whom we share today. The Township of Southgate is a part of the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Six Nation of the Grand River, Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, Haudenosaunee, and Saugeen Métis. The land that surrounds us is a part of who we are as it reflects our histories. May we live in peace and friendship with all its diverse people. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Madam Clerk, is anyone registered for open forum today?
None today, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Need a confirmation of the agenda as presented. Martin will move that. Jim will second. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Is there any declaration of interest related to any item on today's agenda? Not seeing any. If one should arise during the course of the meeting, you of course can raise it at that time. There's no delegations or presentations. The minutes of the council meeting from December 3rd and the special council meeting from the same date are both on there for our approval. Barb will move. Jason will second. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Reports of municipal officers. We start with emergency services. The chief was called away on an urgent matter, so the clerk will take his report regarding health and safety. Someone care to move that we receive this? Martin, seconded by Barb. Madam Clerk, please.
Thank you, Mayor Milne, through you. The chief has been working on updates to our health and safety policy. The previous one was a little vague, so we've identified some important elements that were not in the past one. So we've added some defined responsibilities for workers, supervisors, employers, that sort of thing. A bigger change here is the mayor used to sign off on this one yearly. It would come to council really with no changes. So in speaking with other members in the county and other organizations, it's typically the CAO that would sign off on this on a yearly basis. It does need to be annually signed off on. Of course, if there was updates to the policy, we'd bring that back to council for approval. But just as an annual review, we've changed it that the CAO would sign off. And I guess I'll just add this has been reviewed by our joint health and safety committee and they endorsed council's approval of it. So We've included both the previous policy and the proposed one just to show the changes and the additions and just a much clearer policy and just some enhancements. So that's about it. We'll try to answer questions as best I can in the
Very
chief's
good.
absence.
Excellent. Thank you, Lindsay. Are there any questions? Barb?
Thank you. I didn't have a question originally, but you did mention that if there are no changes, the CAO will sign off on it. If there are changes, because it's a policy, it would come back to council.
That's right. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Not seeing any, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Lindsay. Economic Development Department, we have a report here regarding downtown, Dundalk Downtown Revitalization Strategy and Action Plan. It's a draft. Someone care to move that? Jim, seconded by Barb, will second that. Brenna, welcome.
Thank you,
The
Mr.
floor
Mayor.
is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council. I'm happy today to present a draft to Council of our downtown revitalization strategy and action plan. As you know, we've been working on this for the past year, and there have been many components that we've already presented to Council. Just before we start, I would like to extend a thank you to our task force members. The Downtown Revitalization Task Force was made up of volunteer community members who gave their feedback on all the results gathered. They helped me gather some of this information. And they worked really hard and stayed focused through the year. So I'm so thankful for them coming to our meetings the second Tuesday of every month at the library. And also thanks for the library for letting us use your space. So we had our final meeting on December 9th, and we were able to finish up our action plan and go through all these 15 critical issues. So we're happy that we had another meeting scheduled for January, but we were able to finish ahead of schedule. So we'll just start on page 14. Everything kind of prior to this is summary of what you've seen so far. So just to summarize our customer origin surveys, this was when we were doing on-street interviews of customers, and we were able to gather 283 responses. And we found that 201 of those responses were from the NOC 1BO postal code of Dundalk, and the most common postal code outside of that was those from Melancton. So it's very obvious that our main market for the downtown is already our residents of Dundalk.
Brenna,
And-
just sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Page 14 of the package or
The package, my apologies,
of the
my-
presentation?
of the draft.
Right.
14 of the draft.
So it'd be page 44 of the actual
Thank you.
agenda package.
My
Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you for clarifying that. Anyways, just a note with that, the information has not yet been analyzed by the Ministry of Rural Affairs. They will give that to us in a separate report sometimes in the new year, and that will be presented to council. So then all the results from page 15 forward, so we can move to page 15. Those were presented obviously at our Coffee with the Mayor event. Our market position for the downtown is obviously youth and families, new residents, and seniors for our downtown. We presented these to the community at the Coffee with the Mayor event in November, and we reviewed those the feedback during that from that event with our task force. So for our strategy, we addressed two of the main issues, which are kind of obvious. The physical appearance of the downtown and the need to attract businesses. So everything from that forward, sorry, Holly, we can move one more page forward, are to page 16, sorry. So all these critical issues that we're going to be addressing, they tie back into that. So then here we have this action plan of critical issues that will be addressed over the next 2 years. And a lot of those have already been set in motion. So if anyone has specific questions about those critical issues, I'm open to answer them. Going forward, if there's no major edits from council, then we will remove the draft watermark and post the strategy on our website and begin implementing in, the next year. Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you, Brenna. There is a lot of information there and it's all good information for sure. Any questions or discussion? Martin, please.
Right, on number 7, $5. Number 7, critical issue. Develop business attraction package showcasing like what kind of package? What would be included in it besides data?
No, that's a great idea. It would honestly just be a very a basic document outlining obviously data. A lot of businesses want to know to the population or the prospective population for the area. So also information on building permits issued over a year to show like the growth in the community. And then a lot of summary of some of the data that we have here and also data that we have from the county. We get inquiries all the time from businesses wanting to know more information about development in the area. So this would just be a package, maybe 4 to 6 pages that we can just send off for inquiries and to start kind of that process of analyzing whether Dundalk's a good place for them to start a business.
Barb? Oh, Martin, sorry.
Yeah, and you said some things are already put into play or starting to be put into play. Would that be number 1, entry signs?
That's right. So through you, we have put that in the budget for next year.
Yep.
And then those other ones for the design of the entry signs, wayfinding, accessibility and streetscape, that's something that we can have accomplished if we receive the ROD funding for those plans. So we can kind of set that in motion there.
One more, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it says the activity, work with the community to develop a design that reflects, would you be willing to get the community involved with maybe some kind of contest like we did with the original Southgate emblem? To make it more impactful?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. That was something that was raised by our task force as something that would be of interest. It might also be that the design professional that we work with might come up with 3 different concepts and then pitch those to communities, and the community can kind of vote, just so we have something in line with our building policies and those kinds of things as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
Barb, you had a question and then I'll go to Joan.
Thank you. And just to feed off of that question about what would be in the package, we'd get into demographics because, the changing demographics of our community, the expanding population, numbers isn't just the only equation because that may attract certain types of restaurants, a certain type of, clothing store or whatever that is. And would it also include an inventory of building availability?
Thank you. Yes. So we can definitely use that for the package. Obviously using the information that we've already gathered or modifying it, based on the availability in the next year. So all those things can be added. My intention would be to look at other examples from other communities and then, work with our team to put that together in-house.
Go ahead.
And it was just a thought that the buildings that are currently vacant, if there were an opportunity for them, an invitation to the landlords to register their properties as available, not that we're going to promote one over the other, but that the information is readily at hand, and they could keep it updated. It'd be their responsibility, kind of like another realty.com or something, but through Southgate.
Yes, that's possible.
Okay, Joan, you had a question, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brenna, we talk about downtown and it's a downtown revitalization. I mean, Mr. Mayor is always inviting us to the Olstein Mall. Is there a downtown Olstein? Are we going to move over to Olstein and do a revitalization at downtown Olstein, or it's just downtown Dundalk?
Thank you, Councillor John, and through you, Mr. Mayor. There definitely is a downtown Holstein. For this specific program through the Ministry of Rural Affairs, you have to have a certain amount of commercial structures in your downtown to be able to do it. But so Holstein wouldn't qualify in that respect, but we could always, if there was interest, do some kind of modified program for Holstein. It would have some of the same components, but would be more suited to the size of the community here.
Good question, Joan.
Thank you, Brenna. Mr. Mayor, I'm so sorry. We won't get downtown Olstein developed. Not yet. Thank you.
Any day now, any day now. Monica, I see your hands up.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. Just through you, Chair, and to the point of Councillor John, regarding the report, is it possible to do revitalization for Southgate? Like, then it could be included? I'm not sure if that's a parameter.
Thank you for your question. Similar answer, just because Southgate, the downtown core kind of is in Dundalk, so this does cover that. But if we wanted to do, say, for example, entry signs or wayfinding signage throughout the township, that's also something we could look at, but this plan is specifically for Dundalk.
Just to follow up for that, I love the
Yep.
wayfind. Thank you, Chair. Just the wayfinding for Holstein would be amazing. I think that would be great, those signs. I love that.
Well, recognizing the Holstein, of course, is on a county road. So a lot of that signage is a county responsibility, but nonetheless, yep, for sure. Good idea. Any other questions? Not seeing any, I'll call it. Oh, Jim?
Yeah, I just would like to thank the committee members as well. I sat in on a number of the meetings and lots of participation. Very good.
Good, excellent. Yeah, an emotional topic.
Brett, this task force, is it done now or is it going into the new year? Because I just remember reading you lost 2 members down to 5. Would you be getting more, or is 5 a good working number for you?
Thanks for your question and through you. This was just a temporary project. So it is finished at this time. However, in the plan, it does have me looking at options for potential downtown leadership in future. It might not be something formal, maybe a little bit more informal with event organizers, but that's definitely a possibility in future. Just for this project, we wanted to make sure that we could maximize commitment by not having people feel like they had to be eternally committed to this group, but just so they knew that it was just a year that they needed to give their time. Thank you.
Very good. Yes, kudos to the committee. They did a lot of work and a lot of good work. Absolutely. Okay, not seeing any further questions. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Brenna. On to the planning department. We have a zoning bylaw amendment for Maynard and Vera Shantz. Someone care to move that? Jason, seconded by Jim. Victoria, welcome.
Thank you. That's mine. So just to review, the applicant is proposing to rezone 123812 Southgate Road 12. They'd like to permit a small scale dry manufacturing. It would be secondary to the agricultural use. And just to outline what it would include, it's about 2,600 square meters, the rezoned area. It's about 275 meters from the east lot line and 263 from the front lot line along Southgate Road 12. A 3-meter buffer along the north side of the rezoned area, about 508 square meter dry steel manufacturing workshop, and 500 square meters of outdoor storage as well. And the applicant's agent also submitted a planning justification support to help support the application as well for the proposed OFDU. They're proposing a metal fabrication workshop. Originally, they proposed 15 parking spaces on the original site plan under section 5.7 for the parking requirements. Following the public planning meeting and some feedback, the applicant's agent confirmed actual parking would only be 5 spaces. So they've updated the site plan accordingly. You can see that in attachment 1. To give some context of the site, it's about 413 meters frontage along Southgate Road 12, over 1,000 meters depth, and just over 41 hectares in lot area. Includes about 35 hectares of tillable land, some scrub trees within the southeastern corner of the site, agricultural lands nearby, some existing OFDUs, heavily wooded natural areas as well. There's also a Mennonite school located over a kilometer to the east, and a small rural cluster of properties to the southwest. And then the lands are located about 5 kilometers from Holstein as well. Just to cover some comments, those are on page 4 of staff's report. Grey County had no concerns with the proposed provided D6 guidelines can be addressed, which are common that they include for these OFDU applications, and ask that positive comments are received from the Conservation Authority as well, ensuring that the development can be safely accessed. Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority staff had no concerns regarding the proposal and no permit would be required. Township Public Works advised that safe access can be provided and a commercial entrance would also be required. And Enbridge Gas and Historic Saugeen Métis had no concerns with the proposed. So as it stands, the proposed 2,600 square meter rezoned area for the OFDU complies with the township and county official plan, allowing up to 2% of the lot size. The 508 square meter gross floor area of the proposed OFDU workshop is within the maximum of the township official plan policy as well. And as well, we have regulations to restrict the size of the rezoned area, the gross floor area, the outdoor storage, to ensure this shop is secondary to the prime agricultural use on site as well. And as I stated earlier, for this size of OFDU, they only require 5 spaces to accommodate. SVCA also advised permits not required, and Grey County support the application provided D6 guidelines. As well, most of the EP zoned area appears to be tiled and is now active farmland, which is permitted in the EP areas. And the small scale dry industrial works should remain secondary to the principal agricultural use. It's encouraged again under the provincial policy and guidelines for use of prime agricultural lands, provided construction has started on the farm cluster. As well, noise mitigation, we have landscaping and compliance to D6 is all addressed through site plan approval as well. There's also buffering and screening that's proposed, a minimum of 3 meters in height required for the zoning amendment, and then again, further enforced through site plan agreement. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Victoria. Are there any questions? Barb?
Thank you, and through you, thank you, Victoria. This is more in the general terms, but when an on-farm diversified use is approved, that percentage of land is reassessed. Is that an MPAC role? Does the township play a part in that reevaluate or that reassessment?
Through you, I believe that's MPAC, and it's assessed through an industrial tax base, I think. That's what I believe, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Monica, did I see your hand up?
I was just gonna say that I want to thank the staff for the report and all the recommendations look sound, so I would be supportive.
Okay, thank you. Okay, not seeing any further questions. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Victoria. We have another report here from planning regarding a zoning bylaw amendment, dwelling units in the general commercial zone. Someone care to move that, please? Jim, seconded by Joan will second that, and Ken is taking this one, so. Oh, Bill's taking it. Oh, there's Bill. Mr. White, always a pleasure to see you. Welcome. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. A Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you.
If I don't have a chance to say it. We had this matter before you at Public Planning with a fascinating presentation that I delivered for you. So rather than repeat that, we did a summary report. The proposal, as you remember, was to remove the 1 unit limit on the C2 zone that applies to much of the downtown of Dundalk and several of the rural settlements across the township as a whole. And there's a schedule. Attachment 1, I think, has maps of all those places where the C2 is. The C2 zone is currently broken down with slightly different rules for C2 zoned properties with water and sewer from the township, municipal water and sewer, and rules for private well and septic. And this amendment would continue that separation. but would accomplish some things that are important in your downtown revitalization plan. You just, or help you accomplish some of those things in your downtown strategy. In particular, the renewal of buildings and the, well, I think it was unattractive buildings, or however it was worded. This will allow for renovations to occur, will increase the number of units that could be on at the back of and on second floors of existing commercial buildings. That would increase revenue and allow for them to invest in streetscapes and to bring, or facades, and to bring a market into the downtown, which is very important. So right now the C2 zone limits the dwelling units above or at the back of commercial uses to 1. That would be removed, and the floor space requirement would be removed as well. So basically the regulation on the number of units would be based on the building code, and the health and safety requirements would be implemented then. There would be no new parking required for upper floor space or back apartments for lands on municipal services, so in the downtown area. And I think the director presented to you an option, or there's an explanation in the report that staff have looked at a system to provide parking, and they will be developing that as this moves forward. So only 1 space per unit would be required outside the township downtown, so outside of Dundalk, and in the rural settlements it's 1 space per unit, but no new parking would be needed if you convert an upper floor or the back of an existing commercial building to residential. Also, it removes the setback distances that are kind of punitive right now, especially in downtown Dundalk. You require like a 7.5 meter or a 7 meter front yard, and most of them can't meet that. So you'd be able to go to the existing building walls under this amendment as well. The parking rate right now is quite high. If for say 3 or 4 apartments, you're looking at visitor parking and you're looking at 1.25 spaces per unit. So this reduces the parking. And I think there was a tenant or no building owner who spoke about the parking, and he, in speaking with Brenna and other staff members, I believe he intends to rent as many units as possible to people who don't need a vehicle, and then he would be interested in that parking program that staff are looking at right now. The county had sent comments. You saw those comments at the public planning meeting. We did incorporate a clarification in there for of the back of residential units. In the initial report from the director, it talked about dwelling units above or behind commercial uses. The initial wording that came forward at public planning talked more about above dwelling units. So as a result of the county comments, we have reworded that a little bit to make it clear that residential could go at the back of those dwellings or at the back of those commercial uses as well. So I think council was asking about that too. The Conservation Authority commented generally about keeping out of the hazard zone, and this would be dealing with existing buildings. So we really shouldn't see too much exposure into the hazard zone, and there were no other concerns expressed at the time. So the proposed wording is shown in attachment 2. It's the typical planning zoning wording. We tried to keep it fairly straightforward so everybody can kind of understand it. And there's a bylaw also on for you to consider later on. And our recommendation is that you consider approving that bylaw, and that you determine that no additional notice needs to be given, which under 3417 of the Planning Act you can do. And the only changes that were made, again, were going back to the initial wording and allowing residential at the back of commercial buildings. And that was a clarification that I think council and the county both asked for. So I'd be happy to try and answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Bill. And I will note that your report was approved by no less than 5 different people. So it creates a high bar for questions. So are there any questions? Monica, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you through you, Chair, after you say that. Just a quick question, just with regards because of the use, and hi, Bill, and Merry Christmas to you and your family. Um, with the mix of the older and newer buildings, just on touching on the point of safety for fire alarms, existing regulations, inspections, all of that. Do we confirm that all of that will pretty much be addressed to make sure everything's on point?
If I may, through Mayor Milne, yes, absolutely. Life safety issues. These renovations to change the number of units or to add residential are all subject to building permit, building code, and fire regulations as well.
Okay, Joan, oh. Okay, Barb.
Thank you. And Bill, you addressed my very first question was similar to Councillor Singh Soar's about building codes and fire codes, but it is definitely outlined and I appreciated that. With regard to the allowing a residential unit in the back of a commercial building on the main floor, in a past application, there was a rezoning requirement that changed the percentage of the floor space from commercial to residential. Would they have to go through that process? Because the main floor, this is in a pre-existing building that had commercial on the main floor and residential above, and they wanted to make the commercial space smaller to add an apartment behind.
Right.
By saying that it allows it on the back of a commercial space, would it have to go through rezoning?
If I may, through Mayor Milne again, no, it should not require a rezoning. I think it would if if the apartment was, say, to take up the majority of the floor space on the main floor. But as long as the unit is at the back, what this would allow is they could take that back, say it's half of the floor space and it's, I don't know, 1,000 square feet, they could split it into 2 units at the back, but the front would remain commercial and they would not need a rezoning. So the whole idea is to make this change so that rezoning to convert the back and the upper floors to residential is not needed. I think you would only get into one if they were wanting to make the whole floor, main floor commercial or to residential. And I think that I would certainly be discouraging those kinds of applications because I think the streetscape ought to have a commercial flavor to it, particularly in the downtown, and probably don't really want to watch TV while you're shopping. So yeah, it's just better to have commercial in the front. So the idea is to get rid of all the rezonings for this.
That's an image I can't unsee now. Thank you for that.
Exactly.
However, having said that, if you take 50%, by changing the use of the main floor, you change the egress. So you would have only, unless they are required through the building code, I'm kind of looking at our chief building official, Phil Schramm here. Would there still be a requirement for an alternate exit? I think from a fire safety aspect, and I'm just saying that because I'm concerned that you're also giving up potential employment opportunity.
Phil, maybe I'll go to you on that one first.
Through the chair, you might not require 2 means of egress out of that. It all depends how the change of use comes through.
Bill,
Yeah.
did you want to add? Do you want to add anything there?
Just to add that it's already kind of worded like that in the bylaw now. So you could have 1 dwelling unit now at the back of a commercial use. So we're just kind of put that wording back in. So yeah, I would maintain that it may or may not need a separate entrance, but again, I don't want to get into building code stuff at all because I would be misinforming you probably, but It's not a real change from what you have now. It's just allowing more units
Right.
within that space.
Barb, you had another question?
Separate to that, I do have a question about the parking, and I appreciate that we're going to look at developing a parking permit for fee opportunity, which we've discussed in past years as well, because people are parking there anyway. So this would probably be a question for Public Works, more so with regard to the municipal parking lot. We would then have to look into painting numbers or putting up signage that you would assign a parking space to an individual. That would be where they would park, number 2, and then they would have a permit in their windshield or something. Just wondering how far we've gone in that exploration and what the costs associated with creating those numbers and maintenance. I am supportive, don't get me wrong, of a pay per use in our municipal lot for residential tenants. Just wondering how or what you thought that would roll out as.
So maybe, your worship, I'll start.
Sure.
And then if John wants to jump in with anything, then we can. Really, the answer is that we've been discussing it. We haven't sort of put it together into a process, but in terms of discussions that John and Jim and Bill and I and the team have had, in our mindset, any parking that would be offered through this program would be on a per request basis, because keep in mind what you're doing is you're setting the parking requirement for any dwelling unit that is created to 0. So they don't have to provide any parking, but this is an option if someone wanted a parking space. We haven't come to a resolution of any fee, hence why we've put in the resolution you directing us. We want to bring something back just so that you can see what we've come up with. But in our discussion, we've talked about, like, maybe not necessarily a parking stall number, but we would map out the parking lot itself and say, this is where you can park, because we still want the spaces that are closest to the commercial area to be prioritized for people who are coming and going for those businesses.
Thank you.
John, might add something?
Just to add to that, we've reached out to neighboring municipalities as well, just to see what their policies are and how they've been going about it and what their fees are and whatnot as well. So
Good.
we're formulating that information as well into our consideration.
Excellent. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, so the motion, sorry, Ken, go ahead.
Through your worship, just one quick thing to add, just to reinforce everything that Brenda presented to you earlier for the downtown task force and the action plan. This is a very early quick win for the downtown. So I think we're off to a very good start.
Yep, agreed. Okay. Bylaw will come later in the meeting for consideration. So this is to receive the report. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, folks. Okay, moving on to Public Works. Waste Management Subcontracting Agreement. This is John's report, I presume. Yes, it is. I need a mover and seconder. Martin, seconded by Monica. John, please.
So this has just been long time in the coming here. We finally have an agreement with Waste Management brought forward for your consideration for approval for us to subcontract collecting recycled materials from eligible sources. With the current number of stops that we have, it would equate to $302,953 annually. But with added occupancies, that increases the number of stops. So that number should increase as the year goes on. Any questions?
Very good. Thank you, John. Are there any questions? Okay, not seeing any. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. There's also a report here about Circular Materials Ontario contract for depot collection. Someone care to move that, please? Jim, seconded by Monica. John.
So again, this was, I brought a report forward on November 5th, seeking guidance if you guys wanted to go forward with this or not. So this would put a eligible source recycle bin in each depot, free of charge, paid for through SEMO. And this is just the agreement that we've came into place for your consideration and approval.
Okay, any questions? Barb?
Thank you. And having this bin at the transfer station would be for those who don't have, or perhaps don't have enough room in their blue bin and they want to bring it to the transfer station to dispose of it. This is where it would go?
Yes, so the main point behind this for circular materials is for multi-residential units that wouldn't be getting curbside pickup, is why they're allowing it, but they're not going to make us differentiate between, as long as it's coming from an eligible residential source, it can go into that bin and they will fund it. So if you have overflow at your house, then yes, you can still take it there. And
Thank
ahead.
you. And the multi-res is something I'd forgotten about. Is that only for 1 year?
it is
Thank
currently
you.
up.
Any other questions? Not seeing any. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Item's carried. Thank you, John. Now we're on to the finance department. Decide how we're gonna pay for all this. We have a grants and donations report. Someone care to move that? Jim, seconded by Joan. Taylor.
Taylor's my name. Don't wear it out.
Taylor's the name, finance my game.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's my birthday today too.
Go
No,
on
I'm
there.
just kidding. So with the December 1st deadline of policy 3 passing, we had several applicants come forward for the grants and donation, which was great. If council has specific questions regarding applications, I put as much information in the report as I deemed appropriate. And then after, if we go through with all of my recommendations for the grants, then we would have 9,900 left for any other entity that wants to come forward.
Okay, thank you. Barb.
Just a couple of questions. Thank
Sure.
you, Taylor. I was surprised. We don't normally get this till January or February, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
But we saw a couple of new organizations, which is great. I did have a question because we don't get to see the applications, or how was the Dundalk Dance Association's grant funding used last year or this year? Could have been last year. But they received funding this year for the same type of education and expansion. And I just wondered how successful, and you might not have the answer today, but if maybe they could provide that information, it'd be interesting to see how well that went last year or this year.
Sure. Yeah, I can definitely.
Because they are asking for the same funds for the same program.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I just wanted to mention is that we had the Holstein Santa Claus Parade this past weekend. And in speaking with the organizer, getting volunteers to walk the route, they've always been funded for the past 32 years. They've been funded through the generosity of people that attend the parade, through donation buckets carried by various individuals that are no longer able to do it. They will likely be submitting a late application. I've sent them the information and told them about other opportunities through, Community Foundation Grey Bruce as well. But there's still opportunity for the late applicants.
Yeah. I mean, the funds are there. So I believe that now it would just be first come, first serve. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Martin and then Jason.
Yeah, Taylor, with that being said, is there a limit into the new year where they probably won't be allowed to put a request in?
I would say I didn't bring my crystal ball today.
No, I'm just saying, like Barb has said, she's already sent something out, but
Right. Based on the policy, there's no end date. It's just that I think December 1st would be when we would expect applicants to come in. And then after that, it would be first come, first serve. if council approves the funding, obviously.
Okay, Jason?
Just wondering, I'm not sure who's to with the team town hall submission. It was a pretty high one, and I see we put it to 5,000. Just wondering, with the sale of it, the deal we give them, we kind of said going forward, I don't know, we weren't going to give them special. It just seems pretty high to me, according to a lot of the other ones. So it was just kind of a question.
Yep. No, so I did.
Trying to do, but
I did have some method to that madness. I thought I did a lot of, I don't want to call it like soul searching, but I did look at previous reports and what we provided to other applicants before, and it looked like 5,000 was the max. We have given out 5,000 in the past. So I just thought, since the request was so big, that I would put it to the max that we've approved before, but I mean, you can change it to any value. Yep. I agree. It's a substantial amount for only 25,000 being funded for the year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, Barb?
To that,
And then Joan.
we never put any limitations on the sale of that building to them applying for other funding that any other organization could be eligible for. I actually appreciated that it was as generous as it was, but would they, through you to Brenna perhaps, as a facility, would they not be eligible for community improvement funds?
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Mayor, they are eligible. Sorry, I have a cough drop in there. They can still apply for this project. So if they aren't given these funds, we can cover, if they apply for the same project through the CIP, we can cover, half the costs up to certain maximums. They could also, it's possible that if council decides to give them grants and donations money today of 5,000, they could support another amount through the CIP as well for that project.
Go ahead.
I guess my point is that we allow stacking through the community improvement plan. There's been in the past, organizations get funding from this fund and funding from Community Foundation Grey Bruce that doesn't disqualify them because they got funding from this particular application process. There's nothing to say that they couldn't apply and what the project that they're doing is for accessibility.
Yep. Any other questions? Oh, Joan, you had your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Taylor, I noticed on here you have the Dundalk Lawn Bowling Club twice. You have for their annual community open house and also another $500. Is it two different applications? Can you apply for two different stuff, or why didn't we stack it, or was it two separate things? I know they have the barbecue because I'm always there, and then there's also a second one.
Yep. Thank you for your question, Councillor Joan. They reached out to me originally and they had a request for funding and then also a grant. So then based on our policy, I thought it was more appropriate if they had operations to fund, that should be an application. If they have an event to fund, that should be a separate application. Especially if one gets approved versus the other, it would just be less confusing. So that's why there was two. So that was actually my request that they did two.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, Joan. Anyone else? Okay, not seeing any further questions. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. And we have an update to the tangible capital assets report, or policy rather, useful lives of assets. Someone care to move that, please? Jason will move that. Jim will second. Go ahead, Taylor, please.
Okay, so this is a policy that hasn't been updated since 2009. Just coming to the end of our 2024 audit and thinking about prospectively into our 2025 audit, I thought it appropriate to review this policy. A lot of the depreciable lives, useful lives in that policy are pretty broad and maybe not as applicable anymore based on the equipment that we're buying. Or things like of that nature. And then just in different experience that I've had elsewhere, So I added a few categories to be more appropriate, reduced some ages on some items to be more appropriate, because we do see that in some cases, especially laptops, that we can't really push them to 5 years. Like they're not going to last 5 years, but we're depreciating them at 5 years. And that's just kind of a small example of that, but it gets to broader as we go into roads. We're depreciating everything at 50 years, but we know through the capital budget that our paving doesn't last 50 years. So that's kind of just where the thought process was. And ideally, I would get this approved in 25 so I can use it for the 2025 audit. So.
Very good. Thank you, Taylor. Any questions? Not seeing any questions. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Taylor. HR department, we have a report here regarding staff training and appreciation event. Someone care to move that, please? Jim and Barb will second. Kayla, welcome.
Thank you. This report covers a variety of things. We included the staffing statistics for 2024 and 2025. I did want to note the offboardings and the hires. The numbers are a little bit deceiving because they do include all of our seasonals and summer students. So we include those when we onboard them and when we offboard them. So that's why the numbers do look a little high there. In addition to that, we are requesting to close operations on April 24th for a staff training and appreciation day.
Thank you, Kayla. And thank you for including the turnover rate. I think I asked that question. So the number in 2025, the current year is extremely good. And I think I can sense why it's good. Any questions? Barb?
Thank you. Squirrel fell off the wheel.
Well, we can come back to you.
Well, it was the turnover rate, but no, I got it. The April 24th staff appreciation but the training, it indicates that we don't do collections on Fridays. With the ICI, I'm going to guess that because it would only be every other Friday that we would be collecting. Yeah, John is shaking his head. So we're good. It doesn't fall on a collection day. Thank you.
You're gonna have a party. You better think it through, right? Any other questions? Not seeing any, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Kayla. Now we have Councillor Singh Soares is a notice of motion regarding backyard poultry regulations. I don't think I need to read it. I think everyone else has read it already. I'll ask Monica, would you wish to move that? Monica?
Sure.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Jim will second it. Monica, I'll allow you to speak first to it if you wouldn't mind, please.
Yes, Chair. Don't have too much to say about it. This notice of motion is simply to request a staff review of our existing backyard poultry regulations. The current rules have been in place for several years, and given changes in community interests and practices of other municipalities, I just felt that it was appropriate to ask staff to bring forward information and options if they exist for council's consideration. So the motion does not propose any bylaw change, does not pre-approve anything, and it does not create any permissions. It's just simply a routine, almost, you could say, procedural request, just for information only, so council can make an informed decision at a later date if needed.
Okay, very good. Any questions or discussion from council? Jim?
I guess, yeah, I'm in favor of us looking at this. I think we'd have to bring forward like a size of flock you could have, like keep it 10 or under. Make sure proper coops and that, fencing to keep them from getting out, like using a tractor there to keep them in. And no roosters would be a big one. Just with noise, I've got a neighbor, you can hear his pretty good from a good piece away. So I don't see a lot of problems with looking at it and going ahead.
Okay, very good. Any other, Martin?
Well, since that's all it is, having a look at it or reviewing it, any information analysis and what have you. There's obviously pros and cons to this. I think that report should bring in all the facts, all the reasons why it could be potentially good, and all the reasons why it's not in place already for the potentially bad reasons. So it has to be a report stating both sides of it. So we have a proper information to say, should we revise the bylaw or let it be? So.
Yep. No, I agree.
So I think that's.
Yep. Any
applicable.
other thoughts, questions? Barb?
So thank you. And through you, I'm never opposed to getting information that allows us to make a decision, but it says that the last clause says that the amendments would permit homeowners to keep backyard chickens. It seems to exclude consideration for whether or not we should be changing the bylaw. And I believe that would require zoning amendments, and there's a lot more to this puzzle than I'm not prepared to approve that we're going to do this. But I am supportive of getting information that of the pro, as Martin Shipston mentioned, the pros, the cons, the benefits, the risks, so that we have all of the information, including our drinking water source protection, public health, limits. They look at other, I mean, if we were to move forward with, once we get that information and we decide that this is something we want to pursue, then it would be the development of the bylaw at that stage. But the last clause seems to imply that by Q1, we're going to have potential amendments and conditions that would allow these poultry. That's another thing. What is poultry? Is that an ostrich? Backyard chickens. If we could stick with backyard chickens and be more specific. As I said, I'm not unsupportive of getting the full picture, but I'm not prepared to make a decision today that would say we are moving forward with the zoning amendment for R1 to R4 zone.
Well, to be fair, I guess literal interpretation, as you suggest, might imply that, but I think it would be very clear that staff would bring the report back to indicate all the pros and cons and all the implications and all the information we need to make a decision one way or the other. Martin.
Yeah, as it comes back to the pros and cons, I was just thinking, we had this morning talking about canine and bylaw and what have you. One of the possible problems is if there's a lot of people with chickens, they're only skunks and raccoons who are opportunists. And now we have a problem with the runaway dogs too. So it opens up a whole kettle of fish. So it would be good to have that report showing the good and the bad, and then go back to revising if we decide to revise it or renew it or whatever.
Yeah. Monica, you have a question? I'll give the last word to you.
Thank you, Chair. Just to speak to Councillor Shipston point, yes, I agree 100%. I know there's things like bird feeders and other things that are in backyards that can attract, but I guess it comes down to how things are maintained and kept. And the last part where it says regarding potential amendments, potential is very like if there would be amendments, there may not be any. So that's why it's potential that would permit. So I mean, again, it's like how you're interpreting it. It's not saying that that's what is going to happen. It's just like the report that would come back that would say if there were to be an amendment, this, if you want to change the word would to could, or if you want to take out the word amendments, but for me, I would ask the clerk if that was very clear that this was not going to give 100% that's the point of this, is to bring it back to see if there would even be any changes or amendments.
Madam Clerk.
Through you, Mayor Milne. Yes, in speaking with you, Councillor Singh Soares, you were very clear with staff that you just wanted this brought back for information. To speak to the deputy mayor's comments, we could just update it, that last clause, that staff report back with information, analysis, and options for review or something just
Sure.
more general. I don't think that really changes the intent much. If Counselor Singh Soares and our seconder was okay with that.
Sure.
I think, yeah, I know what your intentions were, Counselor Singh Soares, but I do appreciate the deputy mayor's comments as well. So
Yeah.
we want to make those changes. Just one note too, in speaking with our planning staff, Q1 might be a bit of a tight timeline if you're okay with it, if it could be Q2
Absolutely.
or, yeah, okay.
Oh, sorry.
So-
I sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I don't know if you were asking me.
No, yeah. No, yeah,
Yeah.
it's your motion. So if you're good with Q2 and we'll just soften that wording, I guess, in the final clause, if that will address your comments, Deputy Mayor.
Yep.
I'd like to see it.
Sure. So
There-
we-
And the only reason I bring it up is that if I'm taking a literal interpretation, others may as well. And the people who may be very interested in backyard chickens, I know Brampton limits them to 2 chickens and you have to get a license, you know, permits, you have to have proper coops and all of that other stuff, which would go along with that. It adds expense, veterinary care and all of that. I just, if I can see it this way, if I read it this way, then others may as well. And I don't want there to be an expectation that we are changing the bylaw. We're seeking information that would help us make that decision as to whether or not we should a go or no go decision. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Fair enough. So Lindsay?
Yeah, so I just changed it. So all the other clauses would be the same. The last clause could read that staff report back Q2 2026 to council with information analysis and policy options for information and future discussion. Is that
That
okay,
sounds,
Monica?
yeah, that sounds amazing. If Councillor Ferguson's okay with it too, I'm okay with it.
Okay, so we have consensus from the mover and seconder for the revisions of the notice of motion. Any further discussion as it is? Or as revised? Not seeing any, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Monica, and thank you, Lindsay, for your help there. Moving on to the consent agenda, we have quite a number of items there. I don't know how many, but does anybody wish any of them to be removed for further discussion or direction? Barb?
Just more for discussion, 11.1.
Okay. Okay, so be it resolved that council receive the consent agenda dated December 17th, 2025, save and accept item 11.1 for information. Someone care to move that, please? Jason and Jim. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, we'll deal with 11.1. Barb?
Thank you. And I move it for information.
Okay.
But I did want to have an opportunity for the CAO to just briefly provide a little bit more clarity. If I'm not mistaken, we did look or investigate with Grand River Conservation Authority the building of the road, but also a bridge crossing. And given the restrictions that they're placing on the Rose Lane County apartment parking lot, I'm not sure that we would have success there. I am not unsupportive of looking at urbanizing the existing Hagan Street. It doesn't change the distance for the children walking, whether they go, you know, Rose Lane or they go Victoria Street. So I'm just wondering, when you add up the bridge crossing and the requirement for sidewalks, you're talking $1 million. And this is for one area. There are children in the northern development, like Todd Crescent and up there, that travel or walk the same distance to the little school, Dundalk Proton School. And I'm just wondering about equity, and if this were a consideration, $1 million for a bridge crossing, if we could get it, and the urbanization 700,000, would that be area rated to the the housing development that would benefit from it? The bridge, specifically the bridge crossing, because only the people who are traveling from Hagen east to Hagen west would generally benefit from that.
Jim?
That's a good question. We haven't dug that deep into those type of details, but I presume it could be area rated for that area. That would have benefit. We will have to check into that a little bit further. I did confirm last night, with, the developer's agent that, our staff that, they did have to post $500,000 to, Department of Fisheries and Oceans to have, the works done in that area to install the water and the sanitary as well as the stormwater management pond. I don't know if that would be a requirement if we were to work in that area, but it's a possibility if they request it from them. As far as GRCA, we haven't had no contact with them in discussions with this at all. So everything's preliminary. If we get direction to proceed further, we will find out more. But I guess what the numbers do say, though, is it's fairly substantial. I would think in due time that we would urbanize the piece between Young and Rose Lane at some point in time. I don't know if it's this year, if council has that appetite, but I do foresee it in the future. As far as the other, a walking trail may be a good start, but again, we would have to do a bit more homework to know for sure what we were up against.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim. I don't think I have a seconder yet, do I? Someone care to second it? Jim will second that. Monica?
Thank you through you, Chair. I'm happy that this was pulled for information. Just wanted to add to that, you know, with regards to the motion being raised, you know, raising safety concerns and initiating dialogue is not necessarily to direct staff outcomes. So I'm very thankful that the staff followed council's direction. The school board responded. And this report appropriately closes the loop in that regard, so we get the necessary information that we would have the proper answers. And I'm definitely comfortable receiving the information. I know that there's a lot of costs involved for both. I really appreciate it for CAO mentioning that there could be an, you know, thought with regards to the footpath as being a start, but even that would require a lot of undertaking. I just wish that there would be some solution with the busing. I know it costs money, and anyhow, I'm looking into some things for that to see if there would be any traction for another options, because I do hear the comment that was raised about the north, and I was thinking about all of that. Like, this is just one small area that many other areas be facing the exact same thing. So it is a wider issue. So I just wanted to mention that, and let's see how things continue to progress. I appreciate the staff and the school board for looking into that.
Okay, thank you, Monica. Not seeing any further questions. I'll call the question. All those in favor to receive, that's carried. Thank you. Moving on to the bylaws. Oh, sorry, we have general announcements first. Does anybody have anything they'd wish to share? Parade on Saturday was a good one. We had perfect weather. Well, other than the blistering cold and the wind. Other than that, it was great. And the snow, well, it was very festive looking. Monica, you had your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Yes, just as we round out the year through you, Chair, just wanted to wish all the council members a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and to all the staff and residents, all of Township of Southgate. Just a wonderful time, and just hold your near and dear ones close to your heart. And looking forward to 2026, great times, and wishing each person in all their lives and their journeys and what they're going to go into next, that you have great success.
Thank you, Monica. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Staff have anything? Nope. All right. Moving on to the bylaws. Be it resolved that the following bylaws dated December 17th. Does anybody wish any of those 6 bylaws be removed for further consideration? No? Okay, be read first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the clerk, sealed corporation, entered into the bylaw book. Someone care to move that, please? Barb will move, Jim will second. Any discussion? All in favor? That is carried. Do we need the closed session? Yes, we do. Okay, be it resolved, the council proceed into closed session at 2:09 in order to address matters relating to a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information. We're not building a rocket ship to the moon. Supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of the person, group, or persons or organization. Holy mackerel. What specifically confidential agreement, waste management. Ah, here we are. And personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. And there is an HR matter to discuss as well, and that all those required remain in attendance. Someone move that, please. It's Jason and Martin. All those in favor? That's carried. All right, we'll proceed in closed session. Okay, we are now back in open session. I can confirm that we only discussed the item that was listed on the board closed meeting agenda and that staff were given direction. We have a bylaw regarding Waste Management of Canada Corporation, the curbside collection agreement. Jim will move, Jason will second. All those in favor? That is carried. Confirming bylaw. Barb will move, Martin will second. All those in favor? That is carried. Motion to adjourn. Jason will move, Jim will second. All those in favor? That is carried. We're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.